Good evening. It's Tuesday, September 27th, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show Post, live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports this evening. My name is Big Reg. I'm joined this evening by my partner in crime, my brother J3. How you doing, J3?
What's up, Big Reg? Glad to be here. Let's get it in.
Let's get it in. Some of our other cohorts may pop in during the show. If so, we will gladly welcome them in. So this evening, we're going to give you some quick hits. And then it's all football. We're going to give you NCAA and then NFL. And before we get up out of here, we give you our post takes for the week. I'm sorry, no post takes this week. And our final post of the evening. We appreciate you tuning in. Please sit back and relax and enjoy posts on the Positional Sports Talk Show channel. So, J3, I sent you a message over the weekend, and we're not going to get into this in depth. I just want to get your overall highlight view of what you think about all the craziness going on with the Boston Celtics and them suspending their coach for the year, Ime Udoka, and, just all the crazy back and forth that they're saying which caused it, and just how the Celtics handle it. Because somebody leaked this story. That's been my big issue about it. Who leaked the story? Because it wasn't Emmy who put this story out, or any of his people. So it had to be somebody from the Celtics organization or somebody tangentially connected to it to put this out there, put all this man's personal business out there. Because there's been many people who've been let go of a team and all that, and they says for violation of team rules, and that's the end of it, and they leave it there.
Well, let me just say my piece on this situation, and I'm gonna leave it alone. I wasn't there. I can't confirm it. If it did happen, he knows the rules. If it has anything to do with his quote unquote fiance, that's their business. I don't know why we blowing this out of proportion. There's other individuals who have done a lot worse and they've gotten lesser punishment. But yet you have a black man who's on a winning team, and you're going to try to chastise him for violating a quote unquote rule that y'all may have and blow it out of proportion. It's disgusting. It's really making me sick. And I'm tired of so many people talking about
it. All right. And we will leave it there. Let's move on to Major League Baseball. We're getting close, man. Most teams got about maybe 10 days left to plan, 10 to 12 days, a little less than 2 weeks, 8 or 9 games left in their regular season. And where we sit today, the Los Angeles Dodgers, I told you last week, they clinched their division. Now they've clinched the best record in Major League Baseball. So as long as the Dodgers are in the playoffs, they will have home field advantage. So congratulations to the Dodgers with over 100 wins again this season, doing big things. They're joined by clinching their division with the Cleveland Guardians and the Houston Astros. Now, a few other teams have clinched playoff spots. The Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets are in a heated battle to see who's going to win that division. They're separated by 1 game, and I believe they have 1 3-game series left, so that's going to come right down to the end. The Yankees have clinched the playoff spot finally. They still haven't officially won their division, but I think their magic number is maybe 1 or 2 to get the division spot. And then you got the St. Louis Cardinals, who've 1 or 2 games away from clinching the NL Central. So that's your update on the playoff race.
Let me ask you this: who do you think is going to actually win the World Series out of all these teams? Because there's a lot of teams that are starting to light fire, starting to hit a lot of balls and making a lot of runs, and because that's what it boils down to. So who do you think is going to win the World Series?
Right now, the LA Dodgers have been the best overall team throughout this season. The only thing that might hurt the Dodgers is they've been having some injuries in their pitching staff off and on, but they keep hitting, they play well, and they've been in the playoff race a lot. So I like the Dodgers, But the New York Mets, if they get hot with their two ace pitchers in their rotation, because the playoffs come down to pitching. If you're in the best 4 out of 7, and you can have your two best pitchers pitch 4 games, and they can either shut down another team or severely limit their run production, you got a chance to win. So,
okay.
So
basically,
that's what I'm looking at.
Roger that. Okay.
A lot of people are hoping the Yankees get back to winning the ring. I think the Yankees got enough rings. But what they do have that's keeping everybody interested is that man, Aaron Judge.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in a holding pattern. He's in, quote unquote, a slump. He hasn't hit a home run in 8 games. So he is 1 away from tying the AL record held by Roger Maris, Yankee great. He's got 9 more games to play. So I think over the next 9 games that Judge is going to get 1 or 2 more home runs and become the AL all-time season home run winner. He's also got a great chance of winning the AL Triple Crown, which would be the first time in about 10 or 11 years. He has a huge lead in the AL and runs batted in, RBIs, and he's right now 1/100th ahead in batting average. So as long as he doesn't go in a hitting slump, he could set the record for home runs in the American League and win the Triple Crown, which could be arguably the best single season for a hitter ever.
Okay. Sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be what's exciting for me is to see a player know his value, didn't sign that contract in off season that everybody told me is crazy. And now what the number that the Yankees or somebody's going to have to pay him at the end of the season is going to be astronomical. Last week, I also told everybody about our man, Roger Federer. He did, in fact, play his last competitive tournament last Friday at the Laver Cup, which was held in London. And he played doubles with his longtime rival turned friend, Rafael Nadal. So he wanted to his last match to be with Nadal, the two guys who really, for the past 15 years, have dominated tennis, even with Novak Djokovic coming in and ended up adding to it. It was really those two. But unfortunately, his last match didn't go out the way Roger hoped it did. You had young American duo of Francis Tiafoe and Jack Sock beat the greats, the GOATs, Nadal and Federer to win the match. But what they did do is they sent Roger out real nice. I mean, besides the standing ovations, they had a video montage and people thanking him for all that. Then they picked him up and put him on his shoulders, walked around the court. So they sent Roger Federer out the right way. Again, tennis has lost 2 of the greatest ever, arguably the greatest ever to play men's and women's within 2 weeks of each other. So then we got to talk about boxing. I told y'all that Newark's own Shakur Stevenson was coming home to have a special fight because he wanted to fight in Newark, bring some revenue to the community, bring some good feelings. And then he lost both of his belts, not in the fight. He lost them before the fight because he couldn't make weight.
Do you think that was a mistake for him to try to have it so soon, knowing that he couldn't make weight? Or do you think it was evident regardless of wherever he was going to fight at?
Yeah, I don't think it was the place. I think it was Shakur now is 25 or just turned 26. I think his man body starting to come in. He said he tried everything he could, and he literally couldn't sweat anymore. He just outgrew the weight class. So he apologized. He took the financial hit because rightfully so, his opponent could have said, well, if he doesn't make weight, I'm not fighting. And they would still had to pay him because he made weight. But he said no. He would do the fight. Of course, Stevenson had to give him some extra money, and he got fined by the New Jersey Boxing Commission. But he didn't want to disappoint the fans. Now, what he did do is he punished Cancial for deciding to keep up the fight. I mean, he floored him with a body shot in the 4th round and just continued to just punish him. And Shakur Stevens is a master boxer, but in this fight, he looked like the brawler. He literally just walked this dude down, stayed flat-footed in front.
Yeah, because he was probably pissed off because he couldn't make weight, so he just took it out on his opponent.
Yeah. So after the fight, of course, he announced that he was moving up to the 135-pound lightweight division, which brings some major possible fights. Devin Haney, who's the current undisputed champion at lightweight. Haney does have a fight this coming October in a rematch against former champion George Kambosos. That was their contractual rematch. So he goes back to Australia to fight Kambosos. I expect him to win that. Or the former champ, Vasily Lomachenko, who's finally returning to boxing after dealing with all the war stuff and all that in Ukraine. He's also fights next month. So either one of those two fights should be able to be made because either all of them are either promoted by or have co-promotion agreements with Top Rank, who is where Shakur Stevens is. So we should have a nice lightweight fight. We'll never see the Tank Davis fight, I don't believe, because Tank Davis is with PBC. The Ryan Garcia possible fight that everybody would love to see. Even though Garcia went up to 140, he could probably come back to 135, but he's with Golden Boy. But we should get some good fights. So that's all I got on the quick hits for you. Another quick one, not on rundown. This basketball and hockey start their preseason this week.
Already, man, this year has flown by. My goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy. So next month we have regular season games in both NBA basketball and hockey, and then college basketball will be kicking off in November. So we getting ready to get busy, folks. Getting ready to get busy. Let's talk about this college football, man.
Whew.
Yeah, week 4 was interesting. It was obvious that a few of these top programs kind of took their eye off the ball. Most of them got away with it, but some of them got.
Are you talking about the Bulldogs?
At number 1 Georgia, they were sluggish in the first half for sure, but that was one of those, the difference between the Johnnies and the Joes. If Kent State has a few more dudes on that roster, they might have been able to beat Georgia, but you know what happens is they just got too much athleticism, too big, too fast. So at the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, teams like that wear down. But they did push Georgia. Georgia ended up winning 39-22, but it was a dogfight to the middle of the third quarter.
So do you still think the Bulldogs are still the dominant number 1 team?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That was obviously one of those. They disrespected their opponent. They're getting ready for the SEC season, which starts this week for them. So they just kind of took their eye off the ball. That's all that was. But a team that took their eye off the ball and got. Now, if you want to look at that, number 10 Arkansas.
Yeah, they were struggling.
Texas A&M, who had lost 2 weeks ago to a subdivision team. Arkansas went in there and lost 23-21. So maybe Arkansas isn't as good as that number 10 ranking. And Texas A&M is starting to get their thing together. But that was an ugly game. I watched parts of it. It's just both offenses struggled for a while. So when you see situations like that, then you had number 22 Texas. Texas, after getting all the accolades of just barely losing to Alabama, they let Texas Tech come into Texas into Austin and lose to them 37-34. And you trying to establish yourself as the main university in the state of Texas, and you dealing with Texas A&M, and you get beat by Texas Tech, who may be the fourth or fifth because you got Baylor that's over there.
Bruh. Any day you can get beat. Don't think your head's too big where you can't get knocked down.
That is true. And then we was giving credit to the U. The U took a bad L. The U lost to Middle Tennessee.
Who?
Exactly.
Hey, where you at since?
Yeah. That's another one of those games where you pay a team to come to your stadium 7 figures and you expect to beat up on them real bad, and then you end up taking that L. That ain't a good look for us. I will say I was happy that number 2 Alabama, Roll Tide, Alabama looked a little better. I understand it was Vanderbilt, but Vanderbilt's an SEC team. They dominated them 55-33, and it wasn't that close, actually. But the biggest news in that game was Bryce Young hit 3 of his new receivers with deep passes. So it seems like they got through to the offensive coordinator and were opening up that pass game a little bit. We'll see this weekend if they continue to do that. And then I was impressed this weekend by University of Maryland Terps. Now, they lost to number 4 Michigan in the big house at Michigan, but they made Michigan fight and claw to a 34-27 win. And Mike Locksley is doing a heck of a job with that program. If you consider when they brought him in, they had to run a coach out because he literally killed a kid in practice. And the whole program was in shambles. And now they're competing with one of the top teams in the Big Ten. So that was a heck of a job with them. Ohio State did what they're supposed to do in their Big Ten opener against Wisconsin. People think Wisconsin's a decent football team, but if you can stop their run, they only going to score 20 to 24 points because they don't have any passing game. So it's interesting. Old Clemson had to struggle a little bit against Wake Forest. This was a matchup.
Been struggling all season.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see Clemson play some more higher ranked teams than Wake Forest, and like Wake Forest is a big powerhouse. I think Clemson might be in for a dogfight in that ACC. And a few others that caught my eye. USC, everybody was talking about USC, nation leading offense. They went to Oregon State, and they had to fight and claw and score 14 points in the fourth quarter to win 17-14. This was a team that's scoring almost 60 points a game. So maybe their competition wasn't as good as we thought. But, USC, people were talking about they might be a college playoff contender in Lincoln Riley's first year out there. I'm not sure about that now because the quality of the opponent go up. We will see what happens to you. Did you get a chance to catch any college football this weekend?
No, sir. I did mentoring this Saturday, so that was pretty much all. I'm taking up my time.
That's a good thing. Good stuff with you. And shout out to the Professor Jay. Your Notre Dame Fighting Irish actually went down to University of North Carolina, got a big win, 45-32, beating the then undefeated Tar Heels. So give a little breathing room to the first-year coach down there so people won't be calling for his job already. So shout out Notre Dame. Here are some games that I want everybody to be on the lookout for this coming week. Conference play gets in a full swing this week for almost every Power 5 conference. Number 2, Alabama goes to Arkansas and plays number 20 Arkansas. Arkansas has, for years, been a tough opponent for Alabama because they're neighboring states. Not as a highly contested battle as between them and Auburn, but it's always a difficult game. And going to Arkansas, that's going to be a big barometer if Alabama can get back to the college football playoff this year. That's this Saturday at 3:30 on CBS. Then we've got the biggest game so far this year for Clemson. Number 10, NC State comes and visits Clemson. It's been a long time since we talked about NC State football being dominant again. So that's going to be real interesting. The loser of that is probably out of the college football playoff race. So that's going to be a big game.
So who you like in that game? Do you like Clemson or you like NC State? Because I think NC State has the edge. I think they're trying to, again, establish themselves and trying to be a part of that dominant and NCAA squad. So what's your thoughts?
If this was being played at North Carolina State, I would definitely favor NC State. They've got to go to Clemson. The key to them winning is going into Clemson thinking they can actually win that game and not be defeated getting off the bus. Because a lot of teams, when they play the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Clemsons, the Ohio States, they've lost the game before they even step on the field because they don't believe they could beat the team.
You think they're inferior where they playing at?
Clemson has been beaten on NC State for years. So when somebody continues to beat on you, it's hard for you to say yeah. So
but you gotta realize that one time or another, you're gonna beat that bully. So you gotta believe that this time is that time. So think about that.
I agree. That's how I hope they come in there because I think that's gonna be a great game. In the Big Ten, you got number 4 Michigan playing Iowa. Did Maryland take a little bit out of Michigan this past weekend? And maybe they slip up and look past Iowa. That's going to be a tricky game. Another SEC battle. Number 7, Kentucky going to Ole Miss. You got the Kentucky defense and their power running game with Will Levis, their quote-unquote first-round projected QB, going against Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss offense. That should be a hell of a game. Oklahoma going to TCU. Yeah, I forgot about TCU. Yeah, Texas Tech is like the 6th or 7th team in Texas. I forgot all about TCU. It's going to be real interesting to see. Oklahoma State plays number 16 Baylor. Texas A&M plays Mississippi State. So some good football. We're starting to really get into the heart of the season. And over the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to see the cream separate themselves from the crop. So,
well, before we push off on the NCAA, man, we got to give a shout out to HBCU dominant Jackson State. I mean, what Deion Sanders is doing with that team is truly phenomenal. They're not just scoring points. They putting foot up people's butt.
Yes, sir.
Period.
Yes, sir.
I mean, they averaging over 40 points a game. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. With the exception of that one game they played the week that all the water got shut out, off in Jackson. Right. And they still won that game. They've been blowing people out. I just checked the ranking. They're ranked number 6 in the nation in the FCS, which is huge for HBCU. So for the football championship series, if they keep doing what they're going to do, they're actually going to play in the FCS playoffs, which would be huge. In a footnote, Coach Prime told everybody, you're talking about all these potential Heisman winners. Look at my son's stats compared to these people y'all say are Heisman front runners. I hear you, Prime. I hear you.
You know you got to plug your son. You know you got to do that.
and I ain't mad at him. But there is a
Absolutely.
slight difference in the level of competition that they're playing against. But he's doing this thing. It's funny, just this afternoon, because they've been talking about firing the University of Auburn coach. They tried to fire him before the season, to fire him for cause, but they couldn't come up with a valid reason. So by the end of the season, he's going to get fired because they're having another bad year. And rumor is that some people with some pull with Auburn have put out some feelers with Coach Prime, and Prime just posted on social media, why would I go to Auburn? They got problems over there. I'm not trying to be the next guy that's there for 2 or 3 years and get fired. Absolutely not. So you count me out. So I'm proud of you, Prime.
I'm glad he squashed that. He needs to stay where he's at and give these young men an opportunity that they probably wouldn't have going somewhere else.
Yeah, if he is decided that after being there for this is his 3rd season, that he's going to do what's best for the continue to build young black men, he should definitely stay there. But I can't begrudge a man if he wants to prove that he's one of the top coaches in college football and he wants to show that on the next level. But I hope he stays at Jackson State because, like you said, what he's doing is phenomenal. What he's doing for HBCUs. I got to give him a shout out also. 2 weeks ago, I meant to mention it. He pointed out the drastic difference in what HBCU schools get to go play these Power 5 teams. I just told you Miami paid over 7 figures to lose this week. Most of these lower division, FCS, some of them Division II schools are getting $1 million plus to go to the Clemsons, the Miamis, and all that to come play a game that they're supposed to lose that goes back to their programs. HBCUs are getting $400,000 to $600,000. Why? So Coach Prime and Eddie George, shout out to Coach George, both said that's not right. And $400,000 to $600,000 is a lot of money to an HBCU football program. But why should we take substantially less than these other programs that you're paying to come in to get an easy victory? So if they're not willing to pay you 7 figures, then don't play the games.
See, it's still that bias, man. It's ridiculous, truly ridiculous, and it's blatant too. They ain't even trying to hide it.
No,
that's the sad part about it.
Yeah. So let's talk about this NFL, partner.
Ooh, man.
It's only 3 weeks in, but I think this might be one of the most interesting NFL seasons we've had in a while. Because when we thought we had a dominant team in the Buffalo Bills, we got surprised that, like you said, anybody can get got. Before we go into the games, though, we do have 2 starting quarterbacks that look like they might miss this upcoming week's games. Mac Jones has a high ankle sprain that happened late in the 4th quarter, almost I think it was that last offensive play of the game. And they're talking about he may miss as much as a month with this ankle sprain and might need to have a surgery to help the healing process quicker. And then Tua. Did you see the hit that Tua took in the Bills-Dolphins game?
I sure did. Yep.
Now, I'm not saying my man Tua is fabricating his story or lying and that he didn't also have a back issue. But when he hit his head and got up, the first thing he did when he got up, he shook his head. So if your back hurting, why are you shaking your head?
Bruh, he was probably in shock. Ain't no telling.
So you buying the back story and that he didn't have a concussion?
I really can't say, Brock, because they took him off the field, and next thing you know, they brought him back on the field. So it's hard to say.
I will say shout out to the NFLPA who are looking into what all happened during this situation. because whenever you see a player get up, stumble, almost fall down, get his balance, walk to some more players, and then was stumbling again, that player's usually done. And
well, obviously he wasn't, because look what happened. He came back on the field and started throwing deep balls. I mean, throwing passes and completing passes. So I don't know.
yeah, they used to do that in the old days, but now they're supposed to be looking out for player safety. So that's all I'm saying. You be concussed and throw a touchdown ball. So
true story. But obviously, like I said, he must not have been that bad off if he came back into the game.
Or whoever the supposed third party non-affiliated doctor who has to be the one to approve you saying that you passed the concussion protocol. All I'm saying, he better have very good records of what he did and didn't do, because I don't think he's going to have a contract with the NFL much longer, because that looked real bad. So going into that game, nobody thought that Miami would be able to slow the Buffalo Bills offense down, much less beat the undefeated Bills. The way the Bills killed the Rams and didn't put a kibosh to the Titans running game, you're saying, okay, this is going to be easy pickings. But one thing about going down to Miami in September,
that heat.
Got to deal with
that heat. But let me ask you something. And I know you watched the game, or at least saw parts of it. Was it me, or did it look like Josh Allen wasn't himself? I mean, he really didn't look like the Superman of late.
I agree. He looked like he was forcing some things, trying to make things happen. I think what's happening with the Bills' offense is they're becoming so Josh Allen reliant. They're not even trying to run the ball anymore. So if you don't attempt to run the ball after maybe the first quarter and all that, they know you're going to throw the ball each down. It's easier to defend that.
Right.
So they need to make sure that it doesn't have to be a 55-45 split, but you got to keep people honest that you can run the ball. And when you're running, it's not your quarterback running the ball, but you're actually running with some running backs.
Right.
And I agree, Chris. They was missing 4 defensive starters and 3 offensive linemen. So I agree. And that heat was getting on them. So I don't believe Miami's a better team overall with the Bills. But some of those players that you mentioned aren't coming back. Both of their safeties are gone for the year. So we got to give Miami their props. Everybody was like, Miami's a decent team, but can Tua do it? Tua ain't got an arm. Tua throwing 55-yard passes over people's heads like it ain't nothing. So sometimes you got to give credit where credit's due.
Real talk.
Speaking about my man Chris, we got to talk about, I'm not even going to say arguably, the best team in the NFC right now happens to play in the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. As they say, fly, Eagles, fly. They might be overall the best team in the NFL right now because their defense is playing dominant football, and Jalen Hurts and that offense is balling.
That's no surprise. We talked about this before the season started. We said Philadelphia was going to be the front runner for the NFC East, and they're proving us right. Yeah,
but I think we could eliminate the East and say they one of the front runners for the NFC, period. Because now that they've got 2 legit wide receivers, and see, last year, people didn't realize I gave the Dolphins big props. Come on now, Ramona. Come on now. But now that the Eagles have 2 legitimate wide receivers, because Devontae Smith was hurt last year a lot during his first season, so you really didn't see the real, Slim Reaper. Thank you. But now that he's there and he's got A.J. Brown on the other side where you can't just focus on him, oh my goodness. So they just like, we're going to take the Commander said we're gonna try to slow AJ Brown down. We're not gonna let him beat me. Okay. Devontae hit him for 150 in the first half.
With
Okay.
ease. With ease. That's the sad part about it. With ease.
Yeah. So shout out to the Eagles. And that young defense, that defense is only gonna get better because a lot of those players that they just drafted are still figuring out what the Eagles want to play. So that's gonna be scary. The question is, Chris, you're gonna have to worry about at the end of the year what they're gonna do because Hurts gonna want his money.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of quarterbacks balling, yo, Lamar ain't saying nothing about it.
Hands down.
He just putting down up monster numbers. This is the second time so far this season he's been responsible for 5 TDs in the game. This time, Bill Belichick defense, vaunted defense, we're going to take something away from you. And Lamar gave them dudes 4 TDs from the pocket. Just hit the pow, get this pow. And then, once they started shutting down the passing game, then he broke out with a long rush for and gave him 107 on the ground for a TD. I don't know what the Ravens going to do next year.
He's got to be the best quarterback on the field right now. Got to be.
He's leading the NFL in pass TDs for a person who can't throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, he's 4th in the NFL in rushing, but he's quarterback. They are, that's if the Ravens can stay somewhat healthy and Lamar can play all 17 games and his wide receivers stay healthy and his tight end especially, Lamar going to put up crazy numbers this year. I think Lamar and Jalen Hurts are going to be the top 2 front runners for the MVP. Of course, they're going to keep Josh Allen there. Got to have somebody that doesn't look like them other guys in the MVP race. But yeah, Lamar is putting up crazy numbers. I know Sis was a little disappointed last night.
It was expected. Ain't nobody disappointed. The Giants are who we know they are. Man, come on, man. Let's start with that. The Giants are who we know they are. They some. I don't know why people got excited just because they was 2-0. Come on, man. Really?
Yeah. What is comical to me, and to all the true Cowboy fans who are now talking about maybe we should just let Cooper Rush keep playing and don't rush Dak back. Y'all need to stop. Because if y'all haven't noticed, that offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, has drastically changed his offensive game plan, and that was the problem. It wasn't that. And that if you even think that Cooper Rush is anywhere close to the quarterback of Dak Prescott, y'all are crazy. Shout out to Cooper Rush. He's won 3 of his first 3 starts, 3-0, so give him props. But the man is throwing for 180 to 200 yards a game and 1 TD. He's not lighting the world on fire. They're not winning because of him. Now, sis, you taking shots at your husband.
No,
I don't care about the Commanders.
Me either. Me either. So they some trash.
Yeah,
for real.
But you got to give the Cowboys props. Their defense is what's been playing lights out for sure. If they continue to run the ball when Dak gets back and not ask Dak to throw the ball 40 times a game, the Cowboys are going to be an interesting team. They're still not as good as the Eagles, but they're going to be a very good team, and they'll definitely make the playoffs. That Green Bay Tampa Bay game, man, that was almost like watching paint dry, dog. We got a game with 2 of the GOATs, the best ever to play quarterback, and they both threw for 1 touchdown, and that was the struggle. And I mean, both defenses are good, but they're not that good.
It was hard to watch, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I still think Brady's going through some issues off the field, and it's affecting his game big time. They say that every year.
Hey, look, what's funny is you're right. They say it every year. They can't even get out the daggone play or get to the playoffs. How they gonna go to the Super Bowl? Come on, man. Jerome, stop. Please stop.
They say that every year. Some of our good friends who have their own little show, have their own show. 2 diehard Cowboy fans, and they pick season records, and one had the Cowboys at 13-3, and the other one had them 13-4, and the other one had them at 14-3. I'm like, come on, man, what are y'all doing? So
they failed to take their drug test, just so y'all know.
But they are a marketing machine, and they've been running the NFC East, so gotta give them props for that. But Super Bowl, that's too much. That's too much. That's just like our resident Steeler fans. Hey, sorry, Big Ed, thinking that the Steelers gonna make the playoffs this year. I mean, the Browns did what the Browns are supposed to do, beat the Steelers 29-17, and I know Coach Tomlin doesn't want to send the young quarterback to the slaughter because they got an upcoming schedule of like 3 games that are going to be brutal. So I think they're trying to get it to their first season break where they have a week off and then bring in a young fella. But, I mean, the Steelers' offense looks horrible. They can't block. They can't run.
Look at Jerome.
I'm just being honest, Jerome. I'm just being honest. And if you're being honest, you know it's time for the young fella to come in. So, because they ain't like the Browns that good.
You see what Chris said? This is going to be Tomlin's first losing season.
Tomlin figures out a way to make things happen. So I think they'll figure out a way to get 9 games. I'm hoping for him. I don't want the man to have his first losing season now. But, yeah, so. Cardinals look bad, man.
Oh, my goodness. It's
Kyler Murray
watching them.
Look like he running around, figuring out, where to help. He's been doing this for 2 or 3 years. It's just amazing that a coach that had no success, hadn't made the playoffs, got a 4-year contract extension. So he's like, okay, fine, man, you got to pay me for the next 5 years. It's good. So the Rams didn't look that much better in that 20-12 victory over the Cardinals. I think they had that Super Bowl hangover. So we will see. The most improved, who's your most improved team in the NFL so far this year?
Right now, I would definitely have to say Miami. I thought it was going to be the Raiders. I really did, but Derek Carr, he just proves to be Derek Carr, and he doesn't take that team to the next level. So I got to go with Miami. What about yourself?
I like that pick, and based on the record, I can't argue with you in any way. But I think the team that's made the biggest drastic change are the Jacksonville Jaguars. You remember last year, they were a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Bringing a real NFL head coach and not somebody who wants to be a dictator. They actually had Trevor Lawrence looking like he was the number 1 overall draft pick in a franchise QB. Trevor Lawrence, the Jacksonville Jaguars are now 2-1. Trevor Lawrence over the weekend with 28 for 39, 262 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions. They also had a rush for almost 200 yards with James Robinson rushing for 100 yards and TD. I mean, they actually look like a legitimate NFL organization, and they got a young defense that's getting after everybody. So, and right now in the division, the Titans look terrible.
Yes, they do.
The Colts just got their first win against Kansas City. Gave the Colts a win. They didn't. Sure. They decided not to show up.
Yep.
So
that's a team we really need to be talking about. What's up with your boy Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I think last game Mahomes got a little frustrated that they took the ball out of his hands. They're trying to get Patrick to play a different style of game this year, and he just wants them to let him try to win games when he can. At the end of the first half, you saw him and Eric Bieniemy get into a little tiff because he wanted to keep pushing, and Bieniemy's like, nah, we're just going to let the clock run out. So it's going to take him a few games. But, I mean, this game wasn't on Patrick Mahomes. The first offense, supposed to be offensive possession for the Kansas City Chiefs, the rookie running back who's also a kick returner tries to catch the ball, hits him in the face mask. They must punt. They get an easy score off of that. Then they try to fake field goal, and that didn't work. He hit Travis Kelce in the hands of play. They done hit hundreds of times, and Kelce dropped the ball in the end zone for a touchdown. So they should have won that game. So, but they always have a clunker every year where it's just the team just doesn't show up there out of sync. So I think Kansas City's going to be fine. And as you say, the Raiders, who we thought would give them some competition, are winless. They look horrible. Everybody's darling pick, except for us, that the Chargers was going to win the AFC West. They look bad at 1-2, and then they got a quarterback that's got fractured rib cartilage, and he's still playing. Had him playing at the end of the game, a game where they were getting crushed. Matter of fact, it was the Jaguars that crushed them 38-10. They had the Golden Boy still in the game late in the fourth quarter. He got injured ribs. Why he still in the game? So I think that coach feels like his seat is getting hotter because you got two number one receivers. You got the franchise quarterback. They spent all this money on the defensive side, and they still not winning. Yeah, I think he's worried that people gonna start saying, "Oh, maybe it's the coach."
What's up with Geno and the Seahawks? What you thinking about them?
I think their Super Bowl game was week 1 against Russell, coming back home, and we're gonna see the real Seattle Seahawks for the rest of the year, and they're gonna be fighting for the worst record in the league this year. Them in Houston, I think they're gonna be fighting for the worst record in the league. It's a shame, but I sometimes games pass coaches by. I think the game has passed him by.
Pete Carroll,
what he wants to do, still be just a physical team, and we're gonna run the ball and control it. The rules in the NFL have changed so much that it's hard to win that way. And you can't win consistently that way, especially when you're going against these high-powered offenses. And your defense hadn't been that good. I can see if you still had a dominant defense, but your defense is average at best. Some people say below average. So I think it's time for Carroll to go ahead and count all this money that he's made and retire and let somebody younger come in there and do their thing.
Yep, totally agree. What's your opinion of the Saints?
I was trying to believe in my boy Jameis. I was trying so much. I even started him 2 weeks ago.
I don't know why.
Because he had a good week 1. I was thinking they got weapons everywhere as far as wide receivers down in New Orleans.
And Kamara out of the backfield. Yep.
Yeah, Jameis just can't get out of his way sometimes. But then he'll put together a fourth quarter. So when you look at the stats, it's like, oh, Jameis didn't have that bad of a game. No, he stunk for 3 quarters. So he got some garbage yards at the end of the fourth quarter. Yeah, the Saints have a problem. When they lost Sean Payton, even though everybody else stayed, that changed that organization. And they're going to really have to do a lot of interesting things because they got pieces there. They got a playoff championship caliber defense there right now. And they should have a good offense, but hey, Jameis is Jameis.
What about the Broncos? What's your thoughts? Because I'm telling you, Russell don't look like Russell.
Again, head coaches ruin more players than they help, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Nathaniel Hackett got that job not because of what he did. Now, let's look at something real quick.
Mm-hmm.
You have two of the top offensive coordinators in the NFL that happen to be black. Eric Bieniemy, Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
For years, they said, oh, well, he's not getting the positions because he's not calling plays. Andy Reid said, no, Eric Bieniemy was calling plays for the last 2-3 years. Then you go down to Tampa Bay. Our local boy here, offensive coordinator here, he calls the plays.
Brian Leftwich.
Again, they tried to say, oh, no, that's not him. That's not him. That's Mr. Risket. No Biscuit calling the plays. He said, I haven't called a play since I've been here at Tampa Bay. I may tell him my thoughts on some things, but Leftwich calls all the plays.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Nathaniel Hackett. His father was an offensive coordinator in the NFL, a head coach in college football. Hackett came from the Green Bay Packers. The head coach of Green Bay calls all the plays there. Mm-hmm. So he ain't never called no plays. But he got a head coaching job because he looked the right color, got the right connections. He looks totally over his head. Now, I'm going to give him a chance. It's his first time, so everybody has growing pains. But, I mean, he's making Russ look like it was a bad investment for them to give him that extension.
I'm glad Russ decided in the fourth quarter he was going to be himself and started scrambling in the pocket and running for first downs and throwing out the pocket because, man, those first 3 damn quarters was killing me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is terrible. And then the quarterback is the one that takes all the brunt when it's the coaching. I think that's also the situation with the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
You got Josh McDaniels, his second time as a head coach, the great offensive coordinator from New England. He get to the Raiders. The Raiders made the playoffs with a crazy season where the head coach got fired right before the season or the second game of the season. One of their first round draft pick wide receivers accidentally kills a lady and they lost him. Interim head coach, they make the playoffs. And now you got this supposed offensive genius come in and the offense looks horrible.
And they got pieces on wide receivers, running backs, tight ends. I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't be putting up a minimum of 35 points a game.
They got 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, Pro Bowl All-Pro tight end, a Pro Bowl caliber running back, a Pro Bowl quarterback, and can't score.
And struggling.
Yeah. So again, for all you sports fans out there listening, checking us out, when y'all put all the blame on the players not looking good, look at the coaching. Because a lot of times it's the coaching and the system that's causing them not to play well, not necessarily the coaches. And that's real talk on my end. So some games to look forward to. Thursday night, Dolphins at the Bengals. That should be a good game if Tua plays. If Tua doesn't play, I don't know if you saw it. There was one series when Tua had that back injury, as he says. I'm going to take his word for it. And the backup came in, and that offense looked horrible. So now they're on a short turnaround for Thursday night against the Bengals. He says he's going to try to play. If not, I think the Bengals go to 2-2. But if Tua plays, I like the Dolphins.
Your boy Joe didn't look too strong on Sunday either. So what's up with him? Joe Burrow didn't. And
that man had an appendectomy right before the season started.
Then why is he on the field? Don't use it as an excuse if you on the field, bro. Don't do it.
I hear you, bro. But having 300 pound men hit you in the stomach, it takes you some time.
Listen, well, don't be on the field.
I hear you. Sunday morning, for you folks like me who like to get up early, there's a special early football game, the Vikings versus the Saints, coming from London. It's going to be on the NFL Network at 9:30 a.m. So you can catch an early football game and then roll right into the 1 o'clock games if you like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm leaving that man Tateo thing alone, Chris. I'm leaving that alone. Yeah, that man got caught up. So
it's called catfish.
For you local folks, what used to be an actual rivalry game, the Cowboys at the Commanders, I expected the Commanders to go to a very simple 1-3, easily get defeated by the Cowboys, look horrible. And if I was Ron Rivera, I would fire my defensive coordinator at the end of the weekend in an effort to try to save my job. Because if you don't fire him, both y'all will be looking for a job at the end of the season.
You don't think they could beat Cooper Rush?
Nah, they can't beat that defense. They can't beat that defense, which is only going to embolden these Dallas Cowboy fans even more. We 3-1 without Dak. Look at it. We 3-0 without Dak. Look at us. We going to the Super Bowl. So yeah.
Until they play a real team.
Yeah. Two games of the week. Jags at Eagles. I want to see how the Jaguars look against that Eagles team. I like the Eagles in that, but I think that's going to be an interesting game. And then Bills at Ravens. If Lamar can put up 4 or 5 touchdowns against the Bills, oh yeah, then the Ravens got a shot of winning that game, even though their defense is horrible. The Ravens defense right now is horrible, bro. Horrible.
So you don't think Buffalo has a chance?
No, I think Buffalo has a legitimate chance because the Ravens defense has been playing horrible. So if they get their offense going again, it's going to be a shootout where Lamar going to have to score 35 points because the Bills going to score 35. And then you got the Chiefs at the Bucks, Titans at the Colts, and your Monday night game is the Rams at the 49ers. So that is your NFL wrap-up. That is our wrap-up for football this week. And again, some good games. If you don't have much planned, check out some college football on Saturday, the NFL on Sunday. Enjoy your weekend. It is time for us to get ready to get up out of here. J3, what you got for your final post this week?
I just want to say that I just completed my 120-day challenge, going strong, putting in that work, baby, putting in that work.
Now, did it start as a 60-day challenge?
No, it started as a 30-day challenge.
Oh, so now you done passed 120. So basically, you're just working out every day now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's good stuff. That is good stuff. I hope to be joining you soon as I continue my little recovery from my little medical situation. But I'm proud of you, bro. You look better. I can see it in your face, see it in your body. So keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.
My final post of the evening is in sports in general, we have to always remember, folks, that these are people too. We like to look at them as heroes and put them on pedestals. But these people, as we can see with Tom Brady this year, they got family stuff that's going on with them, and you never know what people are dealing with. They have their disputes. So sometimes give a little grace to these professional athletes. They make a lot of money, but they put their bodies on the line. But they're people too, so don't always look for them to have the best ideas on everything or be able to fix everything. People are people. Shout out, Derek. Appreciate you tuning in, checking out with us. To all our regular listeners, Chris Jerome, everybody out there, we appreciate you. We appreciate you. And to everybody else who's out there who will check us out on the podcast, again, we appreciate your support. Again, we're here each and every Tuesday, 7 o'clock p.m. for the live show. We appreciate you if you can jump on live. We'd like to see the comments. Try to answer as many as we can. If for some reason you can't catch a live show, we upload the shows to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, Positions on Sports Talk Show. We also upload shows to your favorite podcasting platform. So whichever podcast platform you're on, Just put in Positions on Sports Talk Show. Look us up. You may be a couple of weeks behind, but we try to upload them as soon as possible. Whatever site you go to, please like and subscribe. The subscriptions are free. We greatly appreciate that. That'll help us out to see where we're going with our fandom and our listeners. And of course, if you want to hit us up, our Facebook page is at Positions on Sports. Our Twitter is at Positions on SPO1. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, stay safe. Remember, the pandemic is out there. Matter of fact, right here in the DMV area, there's been a recent influx of people getting COVID with the new variant. So please be careful. Take care of yourself. And we'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Stay safe. Peace.
See ya.